Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. So, yeah, we're continuing off with yesterday. So, Sonny got exposed, um, which I don't feel bad for him because he should have told the truth a long time ago. Especially when he came at Carly, when, the whole Carly and Jason thing, they were married, and he was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. And he was all like, kind of like mad and grumpy about it. And now, he practically sat there trying to manage the situation, manage Carly, trying to run after her. She was no parts of him. My whole thing was like, bro, you should just let her go. Give her time to cool off. I can explain. uh, every man's last words to a woman, I can explain. I can explain. Because this woman is already mad, but you can explain the situation. I guess in his head, he really thought that if he just talks about it and just, makes her understand, she could be like, you know what? You're right, Sonny. What was I thinking? So, yeah, she is pissed. And, the DA that they're trying to use as a reason for her lying is that she wanted to keep her relationship, you know, with Mike because she knew that Sonny was married, and that just gave more validation to what she was doing as far as like her motives. Like she knew she was doing something wrong. Now, granted, this whole, you know, taking in the trial, it just reminds me of that episode of Seinfeld of the Good Samaritan law. And that's what this whole thing comes across as. So it's kind of hard for me to sit there and take this seriously. Like, all right, so basically, what they're telling me is that you just lock somebody up for not being a good person. I'm pretty sure you can lock about half of those people in that room. But after Willow leaves, she runs out, and Michael at first I'm thinking, all right, cool, you're gonna sit there and really and get on her for her lying to you by admission, right? So he starts off and he's just like, why did you not tell me the truth? And Willow's like, oh, because Nina thought it was a good idea. You're listening to the woman that damn near got you fired from your teaching job. This is the woman that you want to sit there and listen to. you know, every time she says and does things like that, I just gotta sit there and remind myself she was a teacher. At one point, she was a teacher. Yep. So with that being said, the judge is like, "Yeah, I want you back up on the stand," and they pretty much ask him, "Do you feel like a victim? Did Willow perjure herself? During this whole trial?" He's like, "No, I don't feel like I'm a victim, and I did have a relationship with her, and we did fall in love and stuff like that." And she hears all of it. Carly hears all of it. So when he gets down, he's walking towards sitting back down. He looks on Car. He looks at Carly, and the look on her face is the type of look that a man would sit there and dread when they're looking at their significant other. Like that was the look of death. That was the look of, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't even go home tonight. Maybe let's just call one of my friends to kind of hang out with him tonight. Because I don't really feel like going home is a really good option. That was that look. And so he sits down, and there's one point I think he tries to grab her hand, and I'm like, bro, you really try to? Okay, bro. So she just pulls off, and I'm just like, bro, this is only gonna get worse, right? No, no, no. This is the start of a really bad day for a couple of days or months or years. We'll just see when hell freezes over at this point. And after of course, she when they do the recess and she leaves, she walks out and Sonny's like, "No, I can explain," and just wait. And he runs after, and Nina's all like, "I didn't want any of this to happen." Keep in mind, it's the woman that said something along the lines of, "This is the purest love I've ever had," or something along those lines. So you can take that with a grain of salt. He runs out and he stops. He was like, "Can you just wait? Can you just listen to me? Just listen to me for a minute. I want to talk to you. I want to try to explain my sins pretty much." And Carly's like, practically like, what version of you am I talking to? Am I talking to Sonny? If I'm talking to Mike, like, who am I talking to? Like, what's going on? She is just, oof. And of course, she looks at Nina a couple of times, and I'm like, I get her anger. I always look at some of these, not specifically that, but just um, whenever that significant other, a man or a woman, sees the person that they're cheating with, they go after the person who either didn't know or whatever. I never understood that. You know, like going after. I mean, granted, let's say the scenario is different or whatever, right? And Sonny's there cheating on Carly with Nina. And Carly will go after Nina. Not just Sonny, but will go after Nina. I never understood that. It's like, bro, I get that you're not happy with this person, but just remember that it's Sonny, the person who cheated on you, that you should be angry at. I never quite understood that. I don't get that. But so yeah, and of course Nina walks out after Cynthia kind of berating Scott, like, "Oh, why did you do that for?" "I'm sorry, sweetheart. Did you want to go to jail? Did you want to go to Penville? Because I'm pretty sure you would not survive in Penville at all. At all." Um, she walks out and she looks at, Nina. I mean, she looks at Willow and Michael, and Willow's like, "Oh, did you do this to me? Did you set me up? Did you use me?" And I'm like, "Willow, you played yourself on this one. What are you talking about? Like, you could have talked to Michael, and Michael could have maybe talk to the DA or whatever. But at this point, I think the DA is just trying to salvage whatever he can at this point by basically just saying, regardless of the circumstances or whatever, she still committed a crime. I call BS on that, but whatever, bro. She committed a crime in your head because it's a soap opera, and this is where we're gonna go. So yeah. So let's talk about Brooklyn and Chase for a minute, and that damn blazer that she is wearing, no matter what the situation is. Now, I kind of have a theory about that. Look at this when she was in the steam room, okay? And she made that little comment about, when Chase was like, you can take off some clothes, like it's hot. Like, what are you doing? And Brooklyn's like, "Oh, I bet you'll like that, wouldn't you?" I'm like, how do you want us to answer that? You look silly as hell wearing that damn blazer, and uh, I feel like I'm gonna say something that's gonna get me in trouble, and I'm gonna say it anyway because it needs to be said. Um, I don't know if it's the actor's choice of always wearing like coats and jackets and everything like that on there, even when situations deem it to look silly and straight up stupid. Um, I don't know. I mean, I sat there and wondered that, and I didn't want. Here's the thing: I didn't want to sit there and body shame her because, well, I'm not a dick, but I feel like maybe it's just her choice. Like maybe she did have a child recently, or I don't know how long ago, but she had a child, and you have a child, you have one a certain amount of weight. and maybe she's just self conscious. Um, I think that's probably the best guess that I can come up with. Because I'm like, come on, like you walk downstairs in your pajamas and a jacket, like in a jacket. You're in a house, okay? That that sort of reminds me of the people that go to clubs, nightclubs, or they'll go to somebody's house with like really dim lighting with shades on, and it's just like, what are you doing? Like, why do you have on shades? It's nighttime. What are you doing? Yeah, I think that's just the best case scenario, and hmm. Um, but with that being said, she's doing this back and forth with Chase, where it's like, she's mad at Chase 1 minute, and then she's happy to see him, and she's mad, she's happy, and really, what it comes down to is that she wants Chase, but she doesn't know if she's going to last, and what happens after the baby's gone, and so she just has a mix of emotions, and the problem is that Chase seems to be on the other end of that spectrum of what am I going to walk into? Are you going to be grumpy? Because we're going to use that word instead of using the B word. Or are you going to be nice and my friend and supportive and whatever? So throughout their conversation, because they're watching Leo, throughout their conversation, that instead of Brooklyn actually saying how she feels, she's just like, no, we'll just keep up appearances and, you know, like when we're not doing that, we kind of just like doing our own thing. So, like, okay, I guess we're gonna do that. We're just gonna stretch out the storyline because, at this point, Brooklyn. I don't know if I'm ever gonna really like Brooklyn. I don't hate Brooklyn, but she's not my favorite for reasons well, that she displays on a daily basis. But um, yeah, I just whatever. Now, Olivia and Ned talk to the doctor, try to figure out what's going on with Leo. Now, we find out that, Leo does have autism. And, here's my thing. I genuinely feel for Olivia, because at the end of the day, she just wants to be the best parent that she could be. She wants to make sure that she can meet her child's needs. And, so it's an emotional time for her. Now, here's my thing. Olivia, up until this point, has, throughout the course of me watching this and watching her, has just gotten on my damn nerves. Like, literally, just pissed me off. Although I understood the reasons why, I still didn't like how she was sitting there treating everyone and just lashing out. I understood it, but I didn't like it. But I feel for her, you know, regardless of my personal gripes about her between, you know, how she's been acting. And sometimes you always sit there and wonder, is this character really useful? Is she, there's been a lot of times when it was like, Olivia, is your presence really needed on the show? Stuff like that. But with that being said, I feel for the character. And, I think she's taking the news with Ned the best way that she can. The doctor gave her some really good advice. I felt like was it me, or did I feel like that doctor, the way that he was handing out advice, felt very This Is Us first episode. If you watch This Is Us in the first episode, you know what I'm talking about. And I think it's something along the lines of like a lemon speech. Which I'm not going to detour from. The point is, he gives he gives them some really good advice, and they take it, and just moving forward, they know how to or at least have some sort of knowledge of what to do next, some sort of a plan, uh, which is good. So yeah. Okay, so Sean is the publisher of The Invader, and he's going to turn it into a very respectable um, newspaper or magazine or newspaper magazine, whatever it is. And then when he was to say how he's going to change it around, I was like, so you're going to make it boring then, right? But it doesn't necessarily have to be boring, but I mean, if you ever seen like magazines like the Globe and stuff like that, that's what I feel like The Invader is like, which um, I'm going to be honest, those magazines are just like trash. I mean, a lot of magazines are trash, but like the Globe and like the other one, I don't exactly remember the name of it, but like they are really trash. Like they will take something and just like fiction. The point is, I feel like I wish them the best because it grabs attention. Anyway, they're hanging out, TJ, whatever, and they're talking about Marshall, and this is the first time he's hearing about this. Now, I don't know. Sometimes their family dynamic kind of confuses me a little bit with Sean and Thomas and Curtis. Sometimes kind of confused. It almost makes it feels like is Sean like Thomas's and Curtis' brother? Because I know it's not true, but anyway, so they're talking about Marshall, and Marshall shows up. Marshall shows up, and Sean wants to extend his hand or whatever, handshake, and Marshall's like, "Yo, we ain't about that." Which honestly, to tell you the truth, I was like, "Bro, you should have kind of knew that. Like, you knew what happened between you and Thomas. Well, granted, it was self defense. A parent may not actually see it that way because they're just not going to see it that way, regardless of whatever circumstances is. They're not going to see it that way. And so he's like, "Yo, what are you doing? I want no parts of your hands. I want no parts of you. You killed my son." And granted, he didn't know all the information, and TJ was kind of filling him in. They go through all that, and then Marshall blames himself for stepping out. So he leaves. Sean and TJ are talking, and I think Sean either before or after was like, "Yo, you can have a relationship with him. Just be cautious." Now Marshall gets back to the room, and then he's on the phone with someone. He's talking about, my business in Port Charles isn't done yet. I understand protocol and this, that, and the third. So I'm like, whoever, whatever the secret is, it almost sounds government like. When you talk about protocol and stuff like that, this isn't stuff that like bad guys or mobsters or anything like that will sit there and talk about. This seems more government like. But that's just a guess. Um, and Curtis wants some answers and goes to Stella, and Stella gives him some half truths, talks about music, talks about how he was a good person and he used to donate to the church, shoes and stuff like that, and tells Curtis to be easier as far as the interrogation because no one likes interrogations. You can ask questions, just build up to it. And so Curtis goes to Marshall's room and he opens the door and he just stands there, just I don't know, whatever GQ stance that he was they trying to go for. That's what he went for, and it pretty much kind of ends right there. Now, to some extent, I almost felt like it was somewhat useless. Well, I don't know. I felt like it wasn't a huge important thing, but so Britt is talking to Liesel, and Liesel gives Britt a gift, and the gift is a matchmaking service, and I'm like, so Britt is obviously like, yeah, no, I don't want that. And Leaves was just like, you need to sit there and try to find a way to move on because Jason's not here, and me and Scott practically got together over grief. Maybe you can too. I'm gonna be honest. This I don't know what they're gonna do with Britt at this point because we all know the direction that this story was supposed to go into, and well, how it's not going there. So at this point, well, I mean, I guess they can either pair Britt up with Drew because Drew's not really seeing anyone, and I doubt that they're gonna sit there and put Drew with Maxie. So um, yeah, Britt, they can sit there and bond over Jason. I can see that because at this point, you know, we're kind of in limbo a little bit with Britt as far as her story and her course. The course of her story. So I feel like Drew is pretty much the best option to go with at this point. But they talk about it's weird. Like they talk about the consequences of not finding a man in some sort of way, which is kind of weird because they bring up Nina, her situation, how it's just going really bad because she tried to go for a guy who was not available, and now she can wind up in prison for it. Which after Britt finds out, Britt is just like, yeah, uh, I'm gonna be honest. Even if Nina goes free, uh, that may not be the exact best option for her. Um, Carly is gonna want war, 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 and I am so with it. I don't like Nina, to be honest. I like I said, and I tell this story often. I didn't like Nina the minute that she um went about trying to get um Willow fired. Willow fired, her making excuses for Charlotte's behavior, talking about, oh, they're just afraid of strong women, this, that, and the third, and blah, blah, blah. And it got to a point where every time Nina talked, it got me so angry. So Nina is definitely not on my nice list. I couldn't come up with something another adjective. My point is I'm with it. I'm with this war. I'm with this war. And honestly, tell you the truth, I think that Laura and Cindy do a great job as far as playing off each other because they've done that before in another soap opera before. In another soap opera, I forgot which one. But they're used to working together, so the way that they go back and forth with each other is great. You know. Um. So yeah, I think that's about it. I really do. If I forgot anything, please write it down in the comment section below. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe, and I will see you in the next video.